Hello and welcome to this lesson. In this lesson, you will learn more about procurement governance. You will learn what it is, why it is important to understand, and how you can apply it to engage and manage stakeholders in the procurement process. Specifically, you will learn about who the stakeholders of procurement are, how to identify them, how to engage them, and how to align everyone involved to ensure the procurement processes meets its goals. To master this, you will learn about agency theory, agency problems, and how to align people involved in procurement with its goals through various interventions. All of this is aimed at achieving sustainable procurement objectives that will help drive your business forwards. So let's get started. The notion of value creation has played a central role in our lessons so far. It is a common objective for everyone within procurement. However, the question is, for whom do we try to create the value? By now, you've learned that there are two major approaches to answering this question. One is the view of the procurement process as a coalition of interest groups. In this view, it's the responsibility of procurement professionals to balance these interests, referred to as stakeholder approach. The other view is the idea that the procurement process should maximize value for its organization, meaning its stakeholders. There is an ongoing, fierce debate on what should be preferred in procurement. The stakeholder approach, which emphasizes considering the interest of all stakeholders, has gained prominence in recent years. This is in contrast to the previous focus on maximizing shareholder value, which sometimes led to unethical practices such as supplier exploitation or disregarding environmental and social concerns. We believe that a balanced approach that considers all stakeholders is crucial for sustainable procurement. Ultimately, organizations operate within a broader ecosystem, and procurement plays a crucial part in shaping a more sustainable future. This is why we will emphasize the stakeholder approach to value creation in procurement. Let us now dive into procurement governance. When it comes to making procurement decisions, we need to focus on procurement governance. There are many different definitions of procurement governance as it contains many perspectives. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development defined it as follows. The procurement governance structure specifies the distribution of rights and responsibilities among the different participants in the procurement process, such as the procurement team, suppliers, internal stakeholders and other relevant parties, and lays down the rules and procedures for decision-making in procurement. When we take a look at this definition a bit more close, we can distinguish three parts that are relevant to procurement. 1. The distribution of rights and responsibilities within the procurement process. 2. The different participants in the procurement process. 3. The rules and procedures for decision-making in procurement. These three parts interact in a way that ensures appropriate decision-making processes and controls in procurement, aligning with the objectives and interests of your organization and its stakeholders. It is important to balance the interests of all stakeholders, including shareholders, employees, suppliers, customers, and communities. Procurement governance identifies the structure of power, responsibility, and accountability within the procurement function, providing a toolkit for effective management and addressing the challenges of procurement operations. In any modern organization, individuals involved in procurement will have autonomy over their decision-making to some extent. Governance practices in procurement aim to ensure that individual decision-making aligns with the objectives and interests of the organization and its stakeholders. Later in this lesson, you will learn how to align these objectives and interests. However, before that, it is crucial to be able to identify who these stakeholders are. This process is known as stakeholder identification in procurement. Stakeholders in procurement are individuals or groups who are directly or indirectly affected by the procurement process, as well as those who may have interest in the procurement or possesses the ability to influence it. There are two types of stakeholders in procurement. The first type are the primary stakeholders. Primary stakeholders, also known as direct stakeholders, are parties that the organization engages with directly in the procurement process and are critical to the organization's procurement success. Examples of primary stakeholders include suppliers, internal departments, employees, and business partners. The second type are the secondary stakeholders. Secondary stakeholders, or indirect stakeholders, are parties who are affected by the procurement process but do not have a direct influence on it. Examples of secondary stakeholders are regulatory bodies, industry associations, local communities, and the broader market. Each stakeholder has their own stake in the procurement process, which can vary depending on their role and interests. For instance, some stakeholders may be directly impacted by the environmental or social aspects of procurement activities, while others may be concerned with ethical sourcing or fair competition. It is important to consider and engage with the diverse interests of stakeholders in procurement, including those related to environmental sustainability, social responsibility, and ethical processes. After identifying your stakeholders in the procurement process, the next step is to engage with them. Stakeholder engagement is a crucial process through which organizations communicate and develop relationships with their stakeholders. This allows organizations to gain a better understanding of stakeholder needs, preferences, level of engagement, and how the organization's procurement plans and actions will impact their objectives. By engaging stakeholders, organizations can enhance their communication strategies, adapt their procurement strategies and operations, and align them with the long-term objectives of their stakeholders. Stakeholder engagement in procurement also serves as an accountability mechanism. It involves stakeholders in identifying, understanding, and responding to a wide range of issues and concerns. It requires organizations to report, explain, and answer to stakeholders for their procurement decisions, actions, and performance. This accountability fosters transparency and trust building as organizations involve stakeholders in decision-making processes and address their concerns. Furthermore, stakeholder engagement in procurement helps organizations meet tactical and strategic needs. It enables organizations to gather information, identify trends, and anticipate potential impacts on their procurement activities. It enhances transparency and builds trust with individuals or groups whose support is crucial for the organization's long-term success. Stakeholder engagement also promotes innovation and drives organizational change, enabling organizations to adapt to new challenges and seize opportunities. In the context of procurement, stakeholder engagement involves understanding and engaging relevant suppliers, labor unions, employee participation groups, local communities impacted by procurement activities, and the organizations and customers. By understanding these stakeholders, procurement professionals like you can effectively communicate policies, balance different interests, and ensure employee satisfaction. Understanding local communities and end customers helps align procurement practices to better serve their needs. For example, engaging with suppliers can foster innovation and collaboration, while involving employees in decision-making can improve morale and productivity. In summary, stakeholder engagement is essential in procurement as it grants organizations social licenses to operate, expand, and innovate. It enhances relationships between organizations and their stakeholders, builds a positive public image, and improves reputation. It helps prevent costs associated with litigations, boycotts, and negative publicity. Moreover, stakeholder engagement enables organizations to identify emerging trends, take a proactive approach, and gain a competitive advantage in the market. In addition to corporate governance, which guides behavior and decision-making in organizations, successful procurement requires coordination and cooperation among individuals within the organization. Achieving organizational goals in procurement involves addressing two key organizational problems. The first is cooperation problem. This problem pertains to aligning the interests of individuals who maybe have divergent goals within the procurement process. And number two coordination problem. This problem revolves around harmonizing the different activities of individuals within the organization during the procurement process. Agency problems are also prevalent in procurement and can lead to goal misalignment within organizations. These problems occur when the objectives of individuals or teams in procurement do not align with the long-term viability and objectives of the organization as a whole. An example of this is the 2008 banking crisis, where individuals were rewarded for selling subprime mortgages, leading to a global financial crisis. The goals and incentives of these individuals were misaligned with the overall health of their organizations. To understand agency problems in procurement, let's consider the role of a Chief Procurement Officer within the organization. The CPO is responsible for overseeing procurement activities and ensuring alignment within the organization's objectives. In this case, the CPO acts as the principal and the procurement team members act as agents. At the same time, the CPO is also an agent for the organization's executive leadership or board of directors. The board want to ensure that the CPO's decision and actions align with the organization's vision. In turn, the board of directors acts as agents for the organization's shareholders. Agency problems arise when the principal, the organization, contracts an agent, the CPO or the procurement team, to act on their behalf. The challenge is to ensure that the agent acts in the best interest of the principal. These problems became more prevalent as organizations grew larger, more complex and more specialized. Power became dispersed and ownership and control became separated within these organizations. In publicly held businesses, shareholders as owners often have limited direct control over management decisions. With shareholders dispersed globally, it becomes challenging for them to have a comprehensive understanding of the complex details of the businesses and manage it effectively. In such cases, the board of directors assumes the role of effective control over the organization. Within the procurement context, this primary agency problem exists between shareholders, owners, and managers who are responsible for daily procurement operations. Supervisory boards are in place to oversee and monitor executive management, safeguarding the interests of shareholders and stakeholders. The challenge of ensuring that managers operate companies to maximize shareholders' wealth is a central concern in corporate governance. Incentive structures, such as stock options, have been implemented to align the interests of managers with those of shareholders. However, there have been cases where these incentive plans have created perverse incentives, emphasizing short-term profitability over long-term sustainability and leading to manipulation of financial performance as seen in scandals like Enron and WorldCom. Agency problems can occur throughout the organization's hierarchy and not just at the top level. They arise when there is a potential for goal misalignment between actors within the organization, making them highly relevant in procurement, particularly in the context of compensation issues. An example of goal misalignment in procurement is when different departments within the organization have an unclear alignment of goals, leading to goal fragmentation. Each department may create its own sub-goals which can conflict with the objectives of other departments. Conflicts arise between sales function focused on pleasing customers, production functions aiming to maximize outputs, research and development striving to introduce innovative products, and finance department focusing on profitability. To mitigate agency problems in procurement, organizations can establish performance appraisal systems designed to align individual employee goals with organizational objectives. Employees are encouraged to pursue organizational goals rather than their individual goals. This is achieved by creating a direct link between employee actions and the objective of their team, department, or the organization as a whole. Incentive systems, monitoring mechanisms, and performance appraisals are put in place to reduce agency problems and ensuring alignment between individuals and organizational goals. Let's now talk about transaction costs and agency costs in procurement. When considering the reduction of agency problems in procurement, one may question why large and complex organizations exist in the first place. Wouldn't smaller organizations naturally solve these issues? The answer lies in understanding transaction costs. Large organizations thrive because their employees are aligned and trust one another. This eliminates the need for contracts for every interaction, finding new partners for each project, and coordinating numerous parties. These costs associated with conducting business transactions are known as transaction costs. The concept of transaction cost was introduced by Ronald Coase in his 1937 article, The Nature of the Firm. He explained why companies like Standard Oil, now Exxon, US Steel, General Motors and General Electric achieved great success. These companies integrated their entire supply chains and became massive bureaucracies. Max Weber, a German sociologist, has already argued that such bureaucracies represented an efficient way to organize human activities. However, there was no integrated framework to explain why some organizations succeeded in vertically integrating their business chains while others failed. Coase proposed that vertical integration was beneficial only if it reduced transaction cost. Since then, transaction cost economics has become a popular perspective in analyzing organizations. In the context of procurement, transaction cost economics provides a framework to assess whether outsourcing, for example, administration, would reduce or increase transaction costs. If outsourcing were to increase transaction costs, it will be a strong argument against pursuing that route. Large organizations in general reduce transaction costs, allowing them to produce goods and services at lowest price points possible. However, in place of transaction costs, agency costs arise. Agency costs refer to the expenses associated with structuring, monitoring and bonding contracts among agents who may have conflicting interests. These costs are part of a broader bundle of expenses related to coordinating tasks, actions and behavior of individuals in organizations that perform specialized tasks separately. Coordination is necessary to accomplish collective activities, whether it be planting trees or venturing into space. Integrating the efforts of individual specialists involves two main problems. One, the cooperation problem. This relates to aligning the interests of individuals with divergent goals. Two, the coordination problem. This involves harmonizing the different activities of individuals within organizations. Now let's go into the cooperation problem and managing goal alignment. To address goal alignment within organizations, management has various mechanisms at their disposal. Here are 4 common mechanisms ranging from hard to soft. Control mechanisms. These typically operate through hierarchical supervision, where managers oversee the behavior and performance of subordinates. Control can be enforced through positive and negative incentives, such as promotions or demotions. Performance incentives. Performance incentives in procurement directly link rewards to output, such as performance-based pay for workers and bonuses for managers. These incentives have 2 main benefits. Direct impact. Performance incentives have a significant effect because they directly tie rewards to output. Reduced monitoring and supervision. By implementing performance incentives, the need for constant monitoring and supervision of employees is reduced. However, challenges arise in measuring performance when teamwork or activities with delayed outcomes, like capability development or innovation, are involved. Alternative approaches may be needed, such as team-based metrics or qualitative assessments to ensure fair and meaningful rewards in procurement. Shared values. Cultivating shared values within an organization can have a powerful effect. When individuals internalize values and purpose, it drives their behavior and decisions. Organizations with a high level of shared values often achieve high levels of cooperation without relying heavily on control mechanisms or performance incentives. Shared values facilitate consensus, prevent conflicts, and contribute to enhancing firm performance. Managing organizational culture and fostering shared values can serve as an alternative control mechanism alongside bureaucratic control or financial incentives. Persuasion. Implementing procurement strategy requires effective leadership that can persuade others to perform certain activities and influence their behavior. Persuasion is an essential characteristic of leadership. It involves changing organizational members' perceptions and their relationships with the organization and guiding their actions to realize the strategy, particularly under uncertain and ambiguous conditions. Cultivating trust and belief and mastering the art of rhetoric is crucial to effective persuasion. Coordination is essential in procurement to ensure effective teamwork and organizational success. Just like relay teams need to coordinate their efforts to avoid dropping in the baton, procurement teams require coordination for productive behavior. Walmart's competitive advantage, for example, stems from the effective coordination of its functions. There are several common mechanisms for coordination in procurement. Rules and directives is the first. These are employment contracts that outline the duties and responsibilities of individuals, providing managers with the authority to guide their actions. 2. Mutual adjustments. This form of coordination relies on informal communication and spontaneous interactions between team members, particularly suited for complex and unpredictable contexts. Routines and processes. Regular and predictable sequences of coordinated actions, such as routines, play a crucial role in integrating individual efforts and developing organizational capabilities. Routines can help standardize work processes and ensure efficient and reliable performance. Another form of standardization is based on output or result-oriented coordination. And that's it. You finished another lesson in this module. Congratulations! In this lesson, you learned that procurement governance is a crucial process for ensuring that procurement decisions and activities are aligned with the objectives and interests of your organization and stakeholders. Thank you for joining us today, and see you in the next lesson.